Hello, welcome back to my fave fanfics. Here, I post, well, my favorite fanfictions, if that wasn't obvious. I do hope you'll enjoy them as much as I do. Please like and subscribe for more content. Without further ado, let's get started.
Welcome, my dear faves, to the fourth part of What If Killua Was Transported to the World of My Hero Academia. Credit goes to Emissary of the Dragon for this fantastic fanfic. Link is in the description for those who prefer to read or want to contact the author. Chapter 10. Chapter 9. The Tournament Part 1. The lunch break ended. All competitors were called to the stadium. Present Mike's voice rang throughout the stadium. It's time for the final event. We'll have a formal tournament between the 14 members of the 4 qualifying teams. It will be a series of one-on-one fights. The matchups will be decided by drawing lots. After that, we'll take a breather and go straight to the tournament. So here are the matchups. Quote. The matchups were Midoriya vs. Shinso, Zero vs. Kaminari, Ida vs. Hatsume, Bakugo vs. Kirishima, Tetsutestu vs. Uraraka, Tododoroki vs. Ishido, Yaoyorozu vs. Abara and Killua vs. Kendo. I'm up against Itsuka Kendo, and Hitoshi is fighting Izuku. I'm pretty sure Hitoshi has this match in the bag. Killua thought confidently. Midoriya, huh? I think that's the green-haired boy in Class 1A. I'm definitely winning this bout. Hitoshi thought. Hitoshi, do you want me to tell you what Izuku's quirk is? Killua asked. No, I want to win this without anyone's help, Hitoshi stated. Got it, Killua nodded. Now it's time for a break, so take this moment to rest. Present Mike. Announced. 15 minutes later. Are you ready, everyone? Exclamation mark. You've all been put through the winger to arrive at this point. But now it's time for the tournament. You only have yourself to trust. Even if you aren't a hero student, this adage is true. Mind, strength, skill, strategy, and knowledge. Use all of it to its fullest. Present Mike declared. It's the first fight. He seems nervous despite his excellent performance. It's Izuku Midoriya from the hero course. Versus Hitoshi Shinso, a student from General Studies. Present Mike introduced. The rules are simple. Force your opponent out of bounds, knock them out, or make them surrender. Give it your all. We have our reliable recovery girl to heal you. Use whatever tactics you have, regardless of how dirty they are. Of course, killing is against the rules. Do it, and it's an immediate disqualification. Heroes only use force when fighting villains, after all. He says that, but this flashy tournament is just an excuse for UA students to show off and entertainment for the audience. Suppose the goal was to showcase the students' abilities for pro heroes. Couldn't they just show a tournament recording to the pro heroes and them only? The answer is, of course not. Because for all pro heroes like to preach, what they're really doing is making a profit and flaunting their quirks. UA is the same in that aspect. It's not just ego stroking but also foolish. Didn't the pro heroes think that villains might exploit the sports festival by using the weaknesses they found there against the students when they became pro heroes? Killua thought. Start. Present Mike exclaimed. Midoriya, despite what Present Mike said, I believe we should have a clean match without any dirty tricks, Shinso declared. I agree, Izuku said. Gotcha. Hitoshi smiled as his quirk took effect. Izuku stopped in his tracks. Hey, what's wrong? The battle has only begun? A couple seconds in the match, and Midoriya's frozen? Exclamation mark. Present Mike said, confused. Is this a result of Shinso's quirk? Shinso's more capable than he looks, that's for sure. Quote. As I said before, the entrance exam was completely irrational, Aizawa noted. What do you mean? Present Mike questioned. Here is some general information about Shinso and Midoriya. I had them with me because we knew this would be a quirk versus quirk fight. Shinso failed the physical part of the exam, which made him lose a spot in the hero course. He was able to get into general studies, and that was the best he could hope for. His quirk is quite powerful. However, with the design of the physical exam, it didn't help him. In the physical exam, mostly students with quirks suited to battle passed, Aizawa remarked. Walk out of the ring, please, Hitoshi commanded. Izuku obeyed and started walking. Yet, Izuku's steps were slow and sluggish. He's becoming slower by the minute. Is Midoriya's will really that strong? Hitoshi thought. Eventually, Izuku stopped walking altogether. Damn it. At this rate, Midoriya is going to break free from my control in mere seconds. So I'll have to finish this fast. Hitoshi frowned in dissatisfaction. Izuku activated his quirk and cracked his fingers to snap out of Hitoshi's control. Midoriya has stopped. Does this mean Shinso's quirk has worn off? Midoriya might gain the upper hand now. Present Mike regarded. To regain control of the situation, Hitoshi punched Izuku in the gut. Then he threw Izuku out of bounds. Midoriya is out of the ring. Shinso moves on to the next round. Midnight announced. Shinso, I lost to you this time, but if we fight again, I'll make sure I've improved enough to defeat you, Izuku promised. Don't count on it, Hitoshi said. Afterward, he stepped out of the stadium and met up with Killua. You did awesome out there. Killua said. Thanks, I only won because Midoriya didn't know my quirk, Hitoshi said, embarrassed, scratching his head. Don't underrate yourself, Hitoshi. You've come a long way, Killua declared. I still have far to go, Hitoshi said humbly. Time skip. It's time for the final match. Midnight publicized. Will the competitors please come forward? Quote. Looks like it's my turn to fight. See you later, Hitoshi, Killua said. Good luck, Killua, Hitoshi said. Killua headed down the stairs into the stadium. For the last match, we have Killua Zoldyck, the second electricity quirk user from Class 1A, and the Hero course. Versus Itsuka Kendo, Class 1B's big sister and also from the Hero course. Present Mike enunciated. Begin. Quote. Immediately, Kendo activated her quirk and tried to swat Killua. However, Killua dodged, and Kendo's blow shattered the cement. She's pretty tough for a high school student. As expected of someone who placed 5th in the entrance exam. Her quirk isn't a joke, either. Killua analyzed. From that brief exchange, I could tell that Zoldyck's reasonably quick on his feet, so he's probably a fighter who relies on speed. So, it's likely that he's not strong physically. I don't know how strong his electricity quirk is, so I must be cautious. Unfortunately, this means I won't be able to use my quirk to land many hits on him. So, I should lure him into complacency by allowing him to electrocute me a few times and then knock him out. Kendo thought. Kendo kept using the same attack as her first one, and Killua continued dodging. Eventually, he leapt back and shot electricity at Kendo, and she collapsed in pain. Zoldyck has the upper hand. Kendo is being mercilessly beaten by him. Present Mike observed. The pain's terrible, but I need to keep going. I can take 2 or 3 hits, but not more than that. I can only hope this plan works. Kendo thought frantically. What's with this girl? Why is she only using the same attack? Is she really so tactically stupid, or is this the only attack she knows? Or is this just part of a plan of hers? Either way, I'll be careful and keep my distance. Killua thought and sent another stream of electricity right at Kendo's chest. She stood weakly. Kendo isn't doing so hot. Zoldyck's electricity attacks are causing serious damage. In addition, Zoldyck's merciless thrashing is earning him antagonism from a small section of the crowd, Present Mike said. Stop toying with her and finish the match already. A voice from the crowd called out. The person who said Zoldyck was toying with Kendo should leave now. If you aren't prepared to watch a fight without heckling because of a fighter's gender, you should go. You're disrespecting Kendo's efforts. So don't count her out yet. As for Zoldyck toying with her, he's treating her as an equal, which is why he's being cautious, Aizawa commented. Damn it, this is bad. I can't go on much longer. I'll have to finish the fight soon. Unfortunately, my plan isn't working, so I'll have to try a new one. Kendo thought. She sent a fist flying toward the cement and shattered it into medium-sized chunks of rock. The debris obscured Killua's line of sight. This was like Gon's strategy when he fought Hisoka. Itsuka will try to hit me now, so I'll have to get out of the way quickly. Killua deduced. Just as Kendo's fist came for Killua, Killua kicked the debris into Kendo's eyes. Zoldyck made a dirty move. Looks like he's not above these kinds of tactics. Present Mike noticed. I can't see. It will take me a while to regain my vision, so I must rely on my hearing. Kendo thought. Kendo waited to hear Killua's movements and attacked toward her estimated location. I didn't expect her to be able to fight while blind. She's not bad. But no matter, I'll move in for the finishing blow now. Killua thought. Killua electrocuted Kendo again and, while she was recovering, threw her out of bounds. Kendo is out of bounds. Zoldyck wins. Midnight notified. Take her to Recovery Girl. The first round is now over. We'll go to the second round after a brief break, Present Mike exclaimed. Killua and Hitoshi headed to a waiting room. You're up next, Hitoshi. How are you feeling? Killua asked. I'm pretty nervous, but I'm also excited. I loved the thrill of beating Midoriya. I want to keep winning and fighting. I guess that's silly, though. Being a hero isn't about being an adrenaline junkie but saving people, Hitoshi said. Hitoshi, there's nothing wrong with liking fighting. You just need to ensure you keep your responsibility as a pro hero above enjoying a fight, Killua said. I also like fighting too. Really? I didn't take you for that kind of person, Hitoshi said, surprised. What can I say? I'm full of surprises, Killua shrugged. Would you place enjoying a fight above your duty as a pro hero? Hitoshi inquired. No, but I would place other things over my duty as a pro hero, Killua answered. Are you serious, Killua? Hitoshi asked gravely. I am completely serious. I want to be a pro hero in the first place because of the resources that come along with being a pro hero, Killua replied. Don't screw with me. I know you're not that kind of person. So tell the truth. Hitoshi cried. I'm not lying. I do want to be a pro hero because of the resources. But there is more to it. I need the resources that a pro hero has so I can help my sister, Killua answered calmly. Is she in trouble? Hitoshi questioned. You could say that, Killua said. Hitoshi stopped pressing the issue, sensing this was a sensitive topic for him. They stayed quiet for the remaining duration of the break. Then Killua and Hitoshi walked to the stadium. I know you'll win, Hitoshi, Killua voiced confidently as their paths diverged. I will, Killua. Hitoshi nodded and went to the arena. Killua climbed up the stairs and took a seat beside Kirishima. Soon, Bakugo arrived and looked at the empty seats. I can sit next to stupid hair and short stack or Sir lectures a lot. TCH. I'll have to choose between the lesser of the two evils. Short stack it is. Bakugo decided and plopped in the chair between Killua and Kirishima. It's time for the quarterfinals. For our first fight, we have Hitoshi Shinso, the dark horse of general studies, versus Denki Kaminari, of the hero course, an electricity user from class 1A. Present Mike said. Denki used his electricity to spell words. I know your quirk, so I'm definitely beating you. I wouldn't be so sure about that, Hitoshi said, irked. I'm going to like pummeling this guy. Kaminari's pretty cocky. He's not entirely wrong, though. I expected that I wouldn't be able to depend on my quirk after my first match. Because of his quirk, Kaminari is probably a long-distance fighter and bad at hand-to-hand combat. I'll use that to my advantage and go on the offensive. Hitoshi thought. Flashback. So, Hitoshi, what's your strategy for fighting once your quirk is revealed? Killua asked. I figured I'd just goad my opponents into answering, Hitoshi said. That's not a smart strategy. There might be some idiots who'll fall for that trick, but it's not going to work for very long. Even the morons will wise up to that when you become a pro hero. Your quirk is something that villains can research, Killua said. So, Hitoshi, what are you going to do? Quote. Hitoshi trailed off. You don't know, do you? Then I'll give you the answer. You need strength, skill, and intelligence. You have above average intelligence, low skill, and no strength. So, what we have to do is increase your strength and skill. Unfortunately, we don't have much time to improve your strength, so we'll focus more on your skill, Killua said. So I'll teach you some fighting styles best suited to you and etc. Flashback end. Hitoshi went straight for Denki and socked him in the face. Denki sent a shock to Hitoshi, and Hitoshi was immobilized for a few seconds. Alright. Time for my indiscriminate discharge 1.3 million volts attack. Denki declared. Hitoshi dodged a few seconds before the attack landed. Phew, I dodged it. That was way too close. I need to be more cautious in the future. Hitoshi heaved a sigh of relief. Then he looked at Denki, who was still. Yay, Denki said, holding his thumbs up. What's with him? Maybe if he uses too much electricity, He loses control of himself? Regardless, I'll just exploit this opportunity, Hitoshi theorized. Then he kicked Denki out of bounds. Kaminari is out of bounds, so Shinso moves on to the next round. Midnight said. Chapter 11. Chapter 10. The Tournament Part 2. Time skip. It's time for the last round of the quarterfinals. It's the girl who got into the hero course from recommendations with a handy creation quirk, Momo Yaoyorozu, versus the strongest electricity quirk user from the hero course who isn't above pulling a dirty trick or two, Killua Zoldyck. Present Mike announced. I worked with Killua-san during the battle trial. He's going to be a formidable opponent. Killua-san is quick on his feet and still packs a strong punch, and to top it all off, he's a good strategist. But I'll still give it my all to defeat him. Momo gazed warily at Killua. So I'm up against Momo, huh? She's definitely weaker than Itsuka. That, combined with her passivity, will make this an easy win. Killua thought confidently. Killua-san will likely start with his electricity attack from his last match. I'll create a laser. It'll take a lot out of me, but it'll be worth it. Then I'll use it too. Momo thought. Final match begins. Present Mike interrupted Momo's musings. Killua struck at Momo with lightning palm, giving her no time to dodge, and shoved her out of the bounds. This will take a while for me to recover from. In the meantime, I better work on the laser before Killua-san knocks me out of bounds. Momo thought. Yaoyorozu is out of bounds. Zoldyck moves on to the semifinals. Midnight declared. I've been kicked out of bounds already? Exclamation mark. I can't believe I've lost so early on. I was so powerless against Killua-san. I couldn't do a thing at all to stop him. He won in a single attack. But I did my best, and that's what matters, right? I suppose I'll just have to improve. Momo thought, shocked. Zoldyck completely overpowered Yaoyorozu. It looks like Zoldyck is even stronger than he showed in his previous battle. After a short break, we'll be moving on to the semifinals. I hope you're as excited as I am. Present Mike commented. Both competitors exited the stadium. The brat overwhelmed Ponytail so quickly. He'd better not pull anything like that when we fight. Bakugo glared at Killua from the stands. Killua walked to Hitoshi's waiting room. He knocked on the door, and Hitoshi opened it. You're going to fight Bakugo soon, right? Killua asked. Yeah, Hitoshi said. How are you feeling about it? Killua questioned. Pretty confident. I know my strategy, Hitoshi replied. Gotcha. How's Yuka doing? Killua said. Yuka's fine. She's been enjoying the new dog food I bought her the other day, Hitoshi said. Good for her, Killua said. A few minutes later, it was finally time for Hitoshi's match. I guess it's my turn to fight. Wish me luck, Hitoshi said while walking to the stadium. I would, but you don't need it. I have faith you'll win, Hitoshi, Killua said. Now go out there and show Bakugo and everyone else what you're made of. I will, Hitoshi responded, smiling. Killua walked to the stands as Hitoshi took his place on the stage. It's time for the first match of the semifinals. Both of these students have already displayed impressive performances. It's Bakugo versus Shinso. Present Mike stated. Well, Extra, your time has come. I'll show you that small fry like you belong in general studies. Bakugo thought. Uncharacteristically, Bakugo didn't attack but waited for Shinso to make the first move. So he did. "Hey Bakugo, Killua told me all about what happened at the battle trial. It must be humiliating to have been beaten by Midoriya, though you looked down on him so much in middle school," Hitoshi taunted. "And then you got third place in the cavalry battle after all your big talk about being number one at the beginning of the sports festival. The truth is, I feel bad for you. It must be terrible being so pathetic that, for all your boasting, you've never won when it's crucial. You lost at the battle trial, at the obstacle course, and at cavalry battle, and you're going to lose again. That's all you are, a loser." Bakugo was seething with anger, trying to vaporize Hitoshi with his eyes. "Don't answer the extra. That's what he wants you to do. If I talk, then he'll win. Besides, it's better to show than tell. I'll engrave into his head that Katsuki Bakugo doesn't lose. Especially not to extras like him," Bakugo thought. Now, those roasts were brutal. It looks like Shinso's trying to get into Bakugo's head. And with Bakugo's short temper, it might just work, Present Mike commented. "Come on, fall for it. Respond already," Hitoshi thought. Bakugo lunged at Hitoshi with his right hook, firing an explosion at him. Hitoshi dodged. Then he socked Bakugo in the eye. Bakugo's right eye started swelling. "When I was checking out Class 1A, you called me and the General Studies students extras. But now I'm in the semifinals, and this extra will beat you. You've got a powerful, flashy quirk, Bakugo. But it can't be that powerful if Midoriya beat you so easily. Or maybe it's not the quirk that's weak but the user. It disgusts me someone like you was born with a quirk like that. So many others would have been worthier. But instead of utilizing your quirk for others, you just laze around like the parasite you are. Unlike the other people in this tournament, Bakugo, you haven't changed for the better or become stronger, and it's because of your ego. Face it. You don't deserve to be in UA, let alone the hero course," Hitoshi barreled on. "I don't mean everything I'm saying, but Bakugo doesn't know that. I'll just say whatever it takes to get a reaction out of him. Sooner or later, Bakugo will respond, and then I will win." Hitoshi smirked. "TCH. This extra is really annoying. It's tough to resist the urge to tell him to shut it. I'll just have to settle for quieting him with my fists," Bakugo thought, annoyed. Bakugo covered Hitoshi's mouth and shoved his head into the concrete. "You know you talk too much." Bakugo snarled while banging Hitoshi's head against the concrete. Soon, Hitoshi began to feel dizzy, but he fought to stay awake. Blood dripped from Hitoshi's forehead, and weariness set into his body. Bakugo's feeling vengeful for Shinso's harsh words. Shinso's taking a vicious beating. Is this his end? Present Mike wondered. I need to stop him before I lose consciousness, Hitoshi thought. Bakugo held Hitoshi up to finish him off. When Bakugo was about to attack, Hitoshi delivered a swift uppercut to Bakugo's chin, making him stumble back. Just when it looked like it would result in Bakugo's victory, Shinso turned the tables. Will Shinso be the one to move on to the finals? Exclamation mark. Present Mike commented. Furious, Bakugo propelled himself forward with his explosions and shot a cluster of mini-explosions, which Hitoshi narrowly dodged. Then Bakugo fired an enormous blast aiming at Hitoshi's chest. This time, Hitoshi wasn't so lucky. Though his chest escaped the blow, most of his left arm sustained damage. Hitoshi dove for Bakugo and placed him in a rear naked choke. Don't struggle. You'll just hurt yourself. By using this move, I can keep you unconscious for a few seconds, but eventually, you'll fall completely unconscious, Hitoshi advised. Bakugo slipped in and out of unconsciousness. Shinso's got Bakugo on the ropes. If Bakugo is going to win, he'll have to probe his brain to escape Shinso's chokehold before it's too late. Present Mike said. The chokehold hadn't completely sunk in, but Bakugo already felt excruciating pain. He lowered his chin to his chest and sank his teeth in Hitoshi's left arm hard enough to draw blood before escaping. Bakugo's gotten out of Shinso's chokehold. But is it enough to beat Shinso? Present Mike wondered. Hitoshi's eyes watered from the white-hot pain in his arm. But he wasn't about to bow out yet and grabbed Bakugo's arm. Then, Hitoshi flung his body across the field with a lot of effort. Sweating profusely, Hitoshi huffed as he walked toward Bakugo. Bakugo lifted himself up. I don't have too much energy left. I can keep fighting for maybe 15 minutes. If I'm going to end this, I'll have to be more pragmatic. Bakugo thought. Then he pulled his hands near each other to use his stun grenade. It blinded Hitoshi, and Bakugo took advantage of it to grab his neck. Bakugo flung Hitoshi out of bounds. What were you saying again about me talking big? Bakugo sneered as he stood triumphantly. It was an even match, but Bakugo has prevailed and will move on to the finals. Midnight announced. A stretcher came for Hitoshi, and Recovery Girl carried him to her sports festival office. Killua walked alongside her and helped lift the stretcher. Drowsily, Hitoshi looked up, seeing Killua's face. Then he fell asleep. A few hours later, Hitoshi woke up and rubbed his eyes. He saw Killua looking over him. Are you satisfied with the match? Killua asked. It's not that big of a deal, Hitoshi said, a fake smile on his lips. He walked to the bathroom. Damn it. How could I lose after all the training Killua gave me? I could have won. Damn it. Now, I'll never get into the hero course. How could I let this happen? Hitoshi thought, feeling bile rising up in his throat. He punched the wall. Damn it. Hitoshi yelled in frustration, with tears streaming down his face. I had a feeling I'd see you here, Killua said. Were you serious about what you said earlier? Quote. Yeah, Hitoshi lied. Then you won't mind me saying this. Hitoshi, you never had a chance of winning the sports festival. You're not Bakugo's level, either. You're too arrogant. You underestimated him, thinking he was just a brat with a big ego, resulting in your loss. You might have a chance of winning, but you squandered it during that match. It turns out the brat with the big ego is you, Killua spoke coolly. You already know that. You don't need to throw it in my face, Hitoshi spat coldly. I'll ask you again, Hitoshi. Are you truly satisfied with the match? Killua reiterated. Of course not. Hitoshi said, wiping away his tears. I thought just. Maybe. I could win the sports festival. I could beat Bakugo and show him that not all general studies students were extras. That people with quirks like mine could become hero course students. I thought I could make you proud of me, but I only let you down. Quote. Don't be silly, Hitoshi. I'm already proud of you. Killua's face softened. But you said that I was no match against Bakugo. That I had no chance of winning the sports festival, Hitoshi said, confused. Hitoshi, if anything, I let you down. Yes, you can't beat Bakugo or win the sports festival, but that's because I failed you as a teacher. I wasn't a good enough teacher to make you someone who could defeat Bakugo or win the sports festival, Killua said. You've come a long way, Hitoshi. You've transformed from an unprepared, bitter kid who just complained about his troubles to a resilient, caring person who tries his best even in his hardest struggles. Tears pricked at Hitoshi's eyes but were tears of joy this time. Killua wrapped his arms around Hitoshi's and Hitoshi melted into the hug. Killua, I want you to train me as hard as possible. Hitoshi demanded, a determined fire blazing in his eyes. Hey, Hitoshi, shouldn't you be more polite when talking to your sensei? Killua asked. Sorry, Killua-sensei. Can you please train me to my limit? Hitoshi requested, blushing embarrassedly. Don't sweat it, Hitoshi, I was just kidding. I won't be training to your limit, though, Killua said with a devilish smirk that haunted Hitoshi's nightmares. I'll be training you beyond your limit. When I'm done with you, your fight with Bakugo will look like a picnic. Are you still up to the task? Quote. Hitoshi could have sworn he saw cat ears and a tail on Killua. He gulped hard but said, yeah. Good, then I'll stop going easy on you. Get ready, Hitoshi, because I'm going to take you to hell and back, Killua stated. Chapter 12. Chapter 11. The Tournament Part 3. Killua sat beside Hitoshi on a gray metal chair, watching over him. Killua sighed. Hitoshi looked so calm and content, free of any worries. He smiled as he slumbered with colorful blankets piled on top of him. Killua wondered if he'd see this side of Hitoshi while awake. Though Killua thought they had become friends, Hitoshi always had an air of discontent and distance about him. He'd never seen Hitoshi so relaxed as he was now. During the short time Killua had known Hitoshi, Hitoshi had the drive to be the best and prove he could be a pro hero. That wasn't a bad thing, but if he took it far, Killua wasn't sure if he could bring him back from the brink. Because if Hitoshi became like Gon did with Pito, then Killua didn't think he could save him. Killua shook his head. He wasn't giving Hitoshi enough credit. Hitoshi wouldn't turn out like Gon did. He and Gon are very different people, apart from their stubbornness. And it was that stubbornness that worried him. That stubbornness got Gon in all sorts of trouble, from almost being killed by Nobunaga to sacrificing all of his aura. And that stubbornness could be what would get Hitoshi killed. Hitoshi would be guaranteed to get into life-threatening situations if he became a pro hero. And Hitoshi would become a pro hero. That he knew. True, the villains weren't that strong, but that was compared to the combatants of his world. But if Hitoshi faced them, he could die. And Killua couldn't allow that to happen. I can't stop it. Killua realized. I can't prevent Hitoshi from becoming a pro hero. It's what he lives for. Is this how Kite felt when Gon and I accompanied him in the NGL? This feeling. It's horrible. Knowing something terrible is going to happen to someone you care about but being unable to do anything about it. No, that's not true. I can't complete the trials Hitoshi will face, but I can prepare him for them. With that, Killua rose from his chair with new enthusiasm and vigor. Sweet dreams, Hitoshi, Killua whispered into Hitoshi's ear. Then he got up to leave, but Hitoshi pulled him back. "Hey, Killua. Remember when we eavesdropped on Todoroki's conversation with Midoriya?" Quote. "Yeah," Killua replied. "Well, that got me thinking. Todoroki seems pretty messed up. And I think he needs someone to help him. Can you be that person, Killua, for me? Also, could you beat him? I do feel for him, but man, does he act pretentious," Hitoshi requested. Killua nodded in confirmation and walked to the stadium. Hitoshi watched as Killua's figure became smaller and smaller until it faded into the distance. Todoroki looks like he's been dealt a bad hand in life. The whole thing with his dad and mom really messed him up. That must be why he refuses to use his fire. But if there's anyone who can help him, it's Killua, just like how Killua helped me. I was deluded, thinking I could be a hero without physical training. I wanted to be a hero to prove that I was more than my villainous quirk and that others with villainous quirks could be heroes, too. I learned that inspiring people with villainous quirks is more important than my need to be recognized. I didn't understand at the time that being a real hero isn't about your own troubles but putting the needs of others above your own. I hope Todoroki learns that, too. Hitoshi contemplated. "Hey, recovery girl, can you please turn on the TV to show the match?" Hitoshi asked. "Sure." Recovery girl complied and switched on the TV. Meanwhile, Killua and Todoroki made eye contact with each other, both of them probing for weaknesses. Todoroki is the physically strongest student in the hero course, but that's only if he uses his fire and his ice. He's above average in smarts, but his primary strategy is overwhelming his opponents with sheer power. As the UA student, Killua Zoldyck, I'm in the top 3 in strength. I'm an excellent tactician, and have quick reflexes. I'm by far weaker than Bakugo and Todoroki in terms of power, and I'm also weaker than Todoroki, even if he only uses his ice. So, if I'm going to win, I have to win in a way that doesn't reveal my true strength. I could lose on purpose, but I don't feel like losing to someone like Todoroki. I'll win by using my smarts, then. Killua thought. Zoldyck is a decent fighter, but I'm leagues above him. He's a slippery one, so I should be careful. Todoroki thought. It's the last match of this round. A fight between forces of nature, lightning against fire and ice. He might look scrawny, but his tiny body packs a mean punch. It's Killua Zoldyck from the hero course. His attitude is cold, and his ice is even colder. It's Shoto Todoroki, also from the hero course. Present Mike declared. Zoldyck vs. Todoroki. Begin. Quote. As soon as the match started, Todoroki created a wall of ice to trap Killua, but he dodged it. As Killua raced toward Todoroki, Todoroki made more frozen obstacles for Killua. Still, he avoided them all, getting closer and closer to him. Todoroki noticed this and created a giant wall of ice. Killua started climbing it, and Todoroki built more ice walls to trap him. Soon, Killua made it to the top and leapt down. He shot electricity at Todoroki, shocking him briefly. While Todoroki recovered, Killua kicked him into the air and used more electricity to shove him through the ice. Todoroki broke through the ice and slid right near the end of the ring. Todoroki attacked with a vengeance, covering the entire arena in ice. Killua leapt back to the opposite end of the stadium. You can't up this up forever. Only dodging will never give you victory. And I won't allow you to prolong this fight, Todoroki stated. Killua remained silent. For the entirety of the fight, Todoroki has kept Zoldyck on the defensive. Zoldyck is still quiet after Todoroki's provocation. Is this proof he is uncertain about victory? Present Mike officiated. I need to wear down Todoroki by extending the fight. I can tell it'll be soon. But first, I'll set a trap. Killua smirked. Hiding behind an ice pillar, Killua crushed the ice beneath his foot and used electricity to zap a piece of concrete into fine dust. Then he gripped the dust in his right hand and bolted to Todoroki. He was near Todoroki just when Todoroki froze his left arm. I'm almost at my limit. If I hadn't frozen Zoldyck when I did, this fight would have been much closer. Todoroki thought, relieved. Frost covered his left side. You put up a good fight, but you can't win this one. Thank you, Zoldyck. You're helping me prove I don't need my fire to win, Todoroki suggested. Then he moved to finish Killua off. Don't be too sure about that, Killua said. But Killua kicked Todoroki's right leg, making him stumble, and then threw dust into his eyes. Todoroki clutched his eyes in pain. Zoldyck was on the defensive, but things are looking up for him, Present Mike said. You're quivering, Todoroki. All quirks have a limit, and you're reaching yours. If you wanted, you could use your fire to thaw yourself out. But you won't do that. Because you're doing this half-heartedly. You're so arrogant that you believe you can beat anyone only using your ice. I'll show there are some opponents you can't beat without giving your all, Killua declared. You're pissing me off, mouthing off about things you don't know about. Todoroki said and lunged at Killua. In response, Killua elbowed him in the face. Todoroki grunted and sent a wave of ice toward Killua. It was much smaller than the ones before. Todoroki is slowing down, and his ice is weaker. And now he's recklessly expending the energy he has left in a fit of rage. These are the ideal circumstances to finish him off, but Hitoshi wants me to reach him. So, I'll keep extending the fight until I do. Killua decided. I'll just pound some sense into him. After all, to train the mind, you must also train the body or whatever. Killua directed electricity at Todoroki, and it hit its mark. Todoroki collapsed, and Killua walked toward him in a calm, slow stride, showing Todoroki he could finish him off whenever he wanted. Finally, Killua reached him. But he didn't throw him out of the ring, knock him unconscious, or even try to make him surrender. He simply kneeled down and whispered into Todoroki's ear. I could win now, Todoroki, and there wouldn't be anything you could about it. There's only one way for you to defeat me now. Using your fire. But you won't do that, will you, Todoroki? Because of your delusion that using your fire makes you like your father, Todoroki slowly crept up and released haggard breaths. Shut up, Todoroki said, shaking with anger and exhaustion. You want to be a pro hero, but I can tell you won't be good. Not now, at least. Todoroki, even if you defeat me without using your fire, you will end up having to use it eventually. You'll fight a villain who's more than a match for your ice and can only be defeated if you give your best. But you won't do that, and the civilians around you will die. And you will die, too. All because of your foolish pride and petty rebellion against your father, Killua continued softly. Shut up. Todoroki said, his face contorted in rage. He walked toward Killua. And refusing to use your fire is a stupid way of rebelling. Your fire is yours, not your father's fire, Killua said. He's right. A child's quirks are formed from a combination of their parents' quirks. My fire is my own, not his. And he's right that I won't be a good hero. I can't hold back at the expense of someone else's life. But how does he know about my father? Todoroki acknowledged. Wait a second, were you eavesdropping on my conversation with Midoriya? Todoroki realized. You just noticed now? Killua said, casually admitting the truth. I have to say, I didn't hear anyone eavesdropping. Let alone a fly, Todoroki said. Actually, that would be 3 flies. Bakugo and Hitoshi were listening too, Killua corrected. Even if I was eavesdropping, that doesn't make my point any less valid. But why were you eavesdropping in the first place? Todoroki asked. Hitoshi and I weren't eavesdropping on purpose, we were walking to get lunch. Then we noticed our shoelaces were untied. While tying them, we accidentally overheard part of your conversation. But Bakugo was there before us. So I'm pretty sure he was listening from the start, Killua said. Ugh. That little punk. I can't believe he just sold me out. He is so dead. Bakugo thought while glaring at Killua from the stands. That's such a lame excuse. This guy's shoes don't even have shoelaces. There's no way Todoroki is going to buy that. Most of the audience thought. I see. That makes sense, Todoroki said stoically. He bought it. Most of the audience thought, disbelievingly. Wow, I can't believe he actually believes my lame excuse. Maybe Todoroki is less bright than I thought. His stoic exterior must be hiding his denseness. Killua thought, surprised. Now, why don't we get back to our match? Todoroki proposed. I'm game, Killua agreed. You were right about all of it, but now I'm going to beat you, Todoroki stated, igniting his flames, which melted all the ice. Todoroki paused at the sound of his father's voice. Shoto! Exclamation mark. You've finally accepted it. This is just the beginning. You will execute my dream. Endeavor yelled from the stands. I'm giving it my all now, and I'm going to win, but thank you, Zoldyck, Todoroki said, an impassioned smile on his lips. I wouldn't have it any other way. Killua cracked a slight grin, satisfied at the result. Well, I've succeeded now. All that's left to do is win. Todoroki's fire is powerful, but he's inexperienced in using it. He almost makes me feel bad for not giving it my all, too. Todoroki leapt toward Killua with his fist inflamed. Killua met his challenge with electricity dancing in his fingers. When the two elements met, there was an explosion. In the fog, Killua used his hand chop to knock Todoroki out. For good measure, Killua kicked Todoroki out of the ring. Then the smoke cleared, and Killua stood victorious but not unscathed with some burns. Todoroki is out of bounds. Zoldyck moves on to the finals. Midnight announced. A stretcher carried Todoroki to the recovery girl's office, with Killua following slowly. Recovery girl set Killua and Todoroki onto beds and began treating them. Todoroki's pretty powerful at his age. That fire was more potent than my basic electricity. He has potential. I'm going to have to recover for a day or so. But to make it believable, I'll make it 4 days. Killua thought. Hitoshi lay on the bed next to him. "Hey, I saw the match." "Thanks for helping Todoroki," Hitoshi said. "No problem. How are you doing?" Killua asked. "Pretty well. Recovery girl says I'll heal in a day or two. How about you?" Hitoshi said. "Not too bad. I'll be healed in maybe 5 days or so," Killua said. "Okay," Hitoshi acknowledged. Soon, they both drifted off to sleep. Time skipped to the day of the finals. Killua had fully recovered and was in his waiting room. "I'm fighting Bakugo next. Well, I'm in the top 4. That's enough. I'll just lose on purpose in the last match. Maybe I should have lost on purpose against Todoroki. Man, what a pain. Even second place is too much attention. I really should have settled for third. That would be the right amount of publicity. I'll need to make my loss look natural, though," Killua thought. Meanwhile, in his waiting room, Bakugo paced around. "I'm fighting the midget next. This is going to be a tough one. I couldn't land a single hit on him at Aldera. But that was back then, I'm stronger now. And things will end differently, with me as the victor," Bakugo thought. At last, it was time for the match, and both competitors went to the stadium. "It's time for the final match. Zoldyck vs. Bakugo," President Mike said. "Start." Quote. Immediately after President Mike announced the start, the action began. Bakugo propelled himself with his explosions to Killua and discharged a cluster of mini-explosions. Killua jumped into the air, landed on Bakugo's head, and leapt to the ground. He kicked Bakugo's legs from underneath him and sent a stream of electricity to his chest. Landing flat on his butt, Bakugo burned with humiliation. Calming himself, Bakugo recovered and sent an explosion to the ground, shrapnel and slabs of concrete flying everywhere. Then he hurled them forward at Killua with a blast. Some of the debris met their target, and Killua received scratches all over his body, slicing up his uniform. In response to Bakugo's attack, he hid behind a massive hunk of concrete and zapped it on top of Bakugo. Bakugo struggled to lift the rock off of him, heaving laboriously. Then he launched himself at Killua like a rocket, grabbed his arm, and exploded it. Killua leapt back. Bakugo sent a barrage of explosions in Killua's direction, some of them hitting his shoulder. Afterward, Bakugo dashed toward Killua and clutched the hem of his shirt. "Stop messing with me, punk. We both know that you're stronger than those 2-bit extras. So start acting like it. When I fought before, you were way stronger than this. I ain't interested in being number 1 because someone else didn't fight with any heart in it," Bakugo demanded. "I didn't think Bakugo would figure me out, but I didn't give him enough credit. I guess the game is up, or is it?" Killua thought. Killua was the picture of a poor, confused, innocent kid. Except his eyes told a different story, mocking Bakugo. "What are you talking about? We've never fought before," Killua said. "Don't screw with me," Bakugo screamed. This pissant. He's playing me in the crowd. The punk knows we've fought at Aldera, but he's pretending we didn't. Damn him," Bakugo thought furiously. Convulsing in pure rage, Bakugo unleashed a primal growl. He lit up his palm with an explosion. "I'm not screwing with you," Killua said. "I just don't feel like expending more effort on you." then die. Bakugo yelled and thrust his hand toward Killua's throat. Meanwhile, in a rundown hideout, Shigaraki was watching the match. Bakugo might be unstable. We can use that to our advantage, Shigaraki surmised. Good, Tamura, you're thinking like a real villain, the voice from the TV said. Thank you, Master. Shigaraki bowed his head in respect. But if what Bakugo said is true, then the Zoldyck boy is more powerful than expected. He may be who we're looking for. Killua Zoldyck. We'll have to look into him, the voice said ominously. Meanwhile, at the sports festival stadium, Killua ducked and ran to the other side of the stadium. Sheesh, what a drag. Well, it's time to play onto Bakugo's ego. Ha 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 ha. Am I going to enjoy this? Killua smirked. You gonna keep running like a coward? Exclamation mark. Bakugo demanded. Maybe I will. Killua stuck his tongue out, enraging Bakugo even further. Snarling, Bakugo darted to Killua and lit his palms up. Suddenly, Killua kicked Bakugo's chin, and Bakugo clutched his chin in pain. Then he shot streams of electricity. Bakugo shook with excruciation and spat out blood. Slowly, Bakugo shakily got up. Killua elbowed him in the gut. The tables have turned. It looked like Bakugo had the advantage, but Zoldyck is winning now. Present Mike said. Damn it. This punk is gonna win. If it goes on like this, I'll lose. This is what I wanted, for him to give me his all. So I can't lose after everything I said. Bakugo thought. Bakugo powered through his wounds using his resolve and howitzer impact on Killua. It left Killua sporting many bruises. Killua dove at Bakugo, relentlessly punching his chest. Through the adrenaline, Bakugo barely felt the blows still high on using howitzer impact. It worked. I can win. I will win. Bakugo smirked. Then Bakugo shoved Killua's head to the ground, sending an explosion to his back. Killua zapped Bakugo, immobilizing him briefly. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. It's over, Zoldyck. Bakugo laughed victoriously. Then Killua gripped Bakugo's foot and slammed his entire body against the ground. Don't count your chickens before they match, Pomeranian, Killua said. Grunting, Bakugo lifted himself into the air and used a second howitzer impact on Killua. When the dust settled, Killua looked much more injured than before, but he still was ready to continue fighting. He's still up, but at least that howitzer impact took a lot out of him. But it took a lot of me, too. I'll have to finish this fast. Bakugo thought. My plan is going even better than I expected despite the mishap before. Making Bakugo think he could defeat through sheer willpower alone like an anime character was a great idea. Killua grinned internally. Bakugo tried to headbutt Killua, but Killua ducked and rammed his head against Bakugo's chest. Then he slapped Bakugo's cheeks until they were red. Bakugo lit up his fist and hit Killua in the air. Afterward, he swatted Killua down out of the ring. Bakugo clenched his fist in victory. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw Killua, smiling? It must have been his imagination. I'm letting you gloat, but I'll have the last laugh. Hee 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 ha. I can't wait to see the look on Bakugo's face when he realizes I let him win. Killua allowed himself the smallest of smirks. Zoldyck is out of bounds. Bakugo is the winner. Midnight reported. That's the end of the sports festival. The first year UA's sports festival winner is Katsuki Bakugo of Class 1A. Present Mike said. Bakugo and Killua walked to Recovery Girl's office. Time skip to the awards ceremony. Bakugo stood on the first place podium, Killua on the second place podium, and Hitoshi and Todoroki shared the third place podium. Now it's time for the awards ceremony, Midnight said. In third place, we have Shinso and Todoroki. Now it's time for the medals. All Might is presenting them. All Might made his entrance by jumping off the rooftop. I am here with the medals. All Might said. Showy, much? Killua raised an eyebrow at All Might's entrance. Congratulations, young Shinso, you did well. You were very resourceful. But remember to improve your physical training and quirk. All Might advised him and hugged him gently. Got it, Hitoshi nodded. All Might handed him the medal. Young Todoroki, you restricted yourself but let go of your limitations. For that, you have much to be proud of. I noticed you seemed troubled during your matches. Are you alright? All Might asked, worried. I will be, Todoroki simply said. All Might hugged Todoroki and allowed him to bury his head into his chest. Then he let go and gave the boy his medal. Young Zoldyck, you did amazing. You were clever and powerful in your fights. I have no doubt you'll only continue to improve. All Might encouraged Killua and hugged him tightly. Just call me Killua, Killua said with an irritated look. He wasn't a fan of the hug. Very well, young Killua, here is your medal. All Might acquiesced and gifted him the medal. Then he moved on to Bakugo. Finally, young Bakugo. You certainly lived up to your pledge. Well done. All Might commended and passed him the medal. I said I would get first place, didn't I? Bakugo said without any of his usual bite and venom, embarrassed in the presence of his idol. These are our winners. But everyone here has the potential to be on this stage like these four are. Rivalry. Encouragement. Pushing others to do their best and then some. The buds of today will sprout into the heroes of tomorrow. Let's have a final cheer. Let me hear you say it. All Might stated. Plus ultra. The crowd said with him. The end. Omake won. Todoroki and Avatar. The Last Airbender. Hey, Bakubrat, which? Avatar. The Last Airbender. Character does Todoroki remind you of? Killua asked after a match. Zuko, duh. Though I can't say, he's more than a pale imitation of the original. Bakugo replied immediately before he realized who he was talking to. Isn't that obvious, midget? Quote. Todoroki may seem like Zuko at surface level, but that isn't the character I'm thinking of. The truth is Todoroki isn't a discount Zuko. Killua paused for theatrical effect and revealed, he's actually a discount Appa. Kohei Horikoshi tricked the MHA fans by making it seem like he copied Zuko, but in truth, he copied Appa. Quote. Gasp, Bakugo said. Did you just say, gasp? Killua asked. Oh, of course not. As if I would say, gasp. Bakugo denied it unconvincingly. You did, didn't you? Killua accused. Wait, how did you break the fourth wall? Bakugo asked, trying to change the topic. If Izuku can summon his BS main character powers to break out of Hitoshi's mind control, then, of course, I can break the fourth wall using my BS main character powers, Killua stated. But you're not even the main character in your manga. You're the deuteragonist, Bakugo pointed out. So are you, Bakugo. Besides, this isn't the manga. Those rules don't apply. This is fanfiction. And at least I was the protagonist for an arc. You can't say that, though, Killua retorted. An arc that lasted what? 3 volumes? Bakugo said. Just for that, I'm going to tell you about your dark, depressing future. Enjoy being stronger than Izuku now because soon you'll be too overpowered for you to even scratch. Killua revealed. And anyway, weren't you saying that half and half was like Appa? How is that possible? Appa's a sky bison, and half in half is a person. Bakugo said, not so subtly trying to change the subject. Since your pea-sized brain can't understand, I guess I'll have to explain it to you. Killua sighed dramatically and then continued. Appa and Todoroki both have noticeable marks on their faces. Appa has his arrow, and Todoroki has his scar. They both have tragic backstories. Appa's herd and his friends, the monks, were killed by the Fire Nation, and after 100 years passed, he couldn't even get revenge on the soldiers who killed his friends and family. Todoroki's mother poured boiling water on his face. She planned to leave him and his siblings with their father, who forced Todoroki to train against his will. They both don't talk much. Appa doesn't talk a lot well, at least not in a way we can understand because he's a sky bison, so we don't understand his sophisticated language. What do you mean Appa's growls aren't sophisticated? Of course, they are. Todoroki doesn't talk much because he wants to maintain the appearance of the quiet, cool, bad boy, which totally doesn't suit him. Peeved. Do you remember him saying, I'm not here to make friends? I just couldn't take him seriously. B. He's used to not talking. C. He was just born that way. Quote. That actually makes a strange kind of sense, Bakugo said, surprised. Well, duh, Killua said, smug, crossing his arms. Omake too. Sifu Killua. Hey, Izuku. Hey, off-brand Appa. Yo, Hitoshi. Killua greeted. Hi, Killua-san. Hi, Kachan. Hi, Shinso. Izuku greeted back. What's an Appa? Todoroki asked, confused. You don't know who Appa is? Exclamation mark. Killua gasped, alarmed. Bakugo, we must correct this tragedy. Killua said. I agree. Ignorance is no excuse for not knowing about Appa, Bakugo said, dead serious. Appa? You mean, from that kid's show, Avatar? The Last Airbender? You actually watch that, Kachan? Izuku asked. How dare you call Avatar a kid's show? Avatar is a masterpiece, Bakugo said, personally offended. Wait, is that why you made me call you Sifu Killua? Because you're an Avatar fan? Wow, I can't believe I actually thought you were cool, Sifu Killua, Hitoshi said. Well, you're as much an Avatar fan as I am if you remember that Aang called Toph, Sifu Toph. Killua shot back. You got me there, Hitoshi admitted. Chapter 13. Chapter 12. Hero Names. It had been a few hours since the sports festival. Hitoshi was doing his math homework in his room. After he finished his last question, Hitoshi checked his email and saw a new email from Ua. The email said, "Dear Hitoshi Shinso, congratulations. Ua has decided to transfer you to the hero course after your performance at the sports festival if you are willing. Please reply soon. From Shota Aizawa, Ua staff." Hitoshi pumped his fist in the air and cheered. He did it. He had actually done it. He had gotten into the hero course at last. Then, Hitoshi typed up a reply. Afterward, he went to bed. The next day, Hitoshi woke up and got ready for school. Then he walked to school with Killua. Hitoshi hummed while he strolled. "What's got you in such a good mood?" Killua asked. "You won't believe what happened," Hitoshi exclaimed. "You finally got Yuka to eat your dad's mystery meat? You had a secret identical twin and never told me? Midnight has decided to start dressing modestly, thereby destroying the dreams of many teens in puberty?" Killua asked. "Could you take this seriously?" Hitoshi sighed. "Sure. You checked your grades and discovered you got all A's?" Killua guessed. "I wish, but something just as wonderful happened. I got into the hero course," Hitoshi said. "Wow, that's great, Hitoshi," Killua said and slapped him on the back. "I know," Hitoshi smiled. "By the way, what did you do to your uniform?" Killua had cropped his jacket sleeves, and his jacket was disheveled artfully. His pants were shorter and his tie and buttons were missing. A pair of red and blue headphones hung around his neck. He wore a corded necklace with a strange card looped through it. Killua grinned. Blackmailing on the principal did have its perks. Just modified it a little. The regular uniform didn't really mesh with my style. Plus, it was just blah, Killua explained. "Huh, I thought it was against the rules," Hitoshi commented. "It is, but the teachers don't care," Killua said. "Well then, could you help me alter my uniform after school?" Hitoshi requested. "Sure," Killua said. They crossed the Ua gates. Hitoshi entered the 1A classroom for the first time. Hitoshi hung around Killua's desk. The sun was shining, the air conditioning was refreshing, the desks were gleaming, and all felt right in the world to Hitoshi. That is until Tenya Ida showed up. The bespectacled boy marched up to Killua, his face red. "What have you done to your uniform?" "That is the sacred Ua uniform passed down from generation to generation. The uniform, All Might himself wore. And yet you stand here without any shame after having desecrated it," Tenya said. "If anything, I improved the hideous uniform. The designers had no sense of style. Who mixes red, gray, and sea green together in one outfit?" Killua retorted. "Regardless of your opinion, you have still disrespected the renowned legacy of Ua. I must demand you change back to your original uniform at once," Tenya demanded. Killua popped his headphones on and listened to music, leaving Hitoshi to deal with Tenya. "And what are you doing here? You are from General Studies, are you not? You ought to go to your classroom before you're late. And do persuade Zoldyck to wear the Ua uniform properly," Tenya demanded. "Did you have to leave me to deal with his babbling?" Hitoshi hissed. Sorry, Killua whispered. Then he placed the other half of the headphones on Hitoshi's ear. "Does this make up for it?" Quote, "If you think you buy me music, you're dead wrong, pal," Hitoshi grumbled. Wait a second, is this BTS' new album? Okay, you're forgiven. Ah, it's sweet that you consider me your pal. And thanks for forgiving me, Killua said, sparkling as if he came from a shoujo manga. Okay, I take that back. Not even Park Jimin's singing voice is enough for me to forgive you. Hitoshi changed his mind. Really? Are you sure about that? Killua questioned. Then he looked as lovely as an angel. His sapphire eyes widened and his lashes thickened. And then, God help him, he smiled. Killua's adorable cat-like eyes winked at him cutely, delivering one final blow. That was the last straw for Hitoshi. He couldn't resist it anymore. He sparkled brilliantly, and Hitoshi swore he heard birds singing melodiously from the window. Was Killua a Disney princess or something? Birds singing in his presence, silver hair and sparkling? Seriously, where did those sparkles come from? He checked all the boxes. Too cute. Can't resist anymore, Hitoshi said as if he was hypnotized. Must forgive. Works every time, Killua smirked. Tenya was still droning on until he finally noticed no one was paying attention to him. Excuse me, are you even listening? Tenya said, irritated. Then he gazed into Killua's eyes. Does it really matter? Killua asked sweetly. No, it doesn't, Tenya said, dazed. Then he realized what he said and fainted. Why'd he faint? Hitoshi asked. Cuteness overload, Killua said. Huh, your cat eyes are convenient when you don't use them on me, Hitoshi noticed. Yeah, they've helped get out of many sticky situations, Killua said. Well, class is gonna start soon. Then he pulled off half of the headphones from Hitoshi's ear. Finally, Aizawa arrived in all of his bandaged glory. Who's the mummy? Hitoshi whispered. Our teacher, Killua whispered back. You mean our teacher is an unshaven mummy who wears crusty, unwashed clothes? Is he a hobo or something? Hitoshi asked. Afraid so, Killua answered. Class, I have some announcements to make. You'll have a week off after today. After your break, you'll receive news from pro heroes scouting you. Also, we have a transfer student from General Studies. Come on up and introduce yourself, Shinso. And no, I am not a hobo. Also, do refrain from talking in class, Zoldyck and Shinso, Aizawa said. Sorry, teach, Killua said, laid back. Sorry, Aizawa-sensei, Hitoshi said, properly chastised. Embarrassed, Hitoshi walked up to the front, blushing. Then, he wrote his name in chalk on the blackboard. I'm Hitoshi Shinso. I have a dog named Yuka. My favorite band is BTS, and I like reading manga. Hitoshi introduced himself and bowed. Thank you, Shinso. Now for our lesson, Aizawa said. Time skipped to the end of class. And that's the end of our lecture. Oh, and Shinso, stay behind. I need to talk to you in private, Aizawa said. Someone's in trouble, Killua sing-songed. Shouldn't have called him a hobo, Hitoshi. Oh, can it, you, Hitoshi said and approached Aizawa while everyone went to their classes. What is it, Aizawa-sensei? Hitoshi said. I'd like to talk to you about your hero costume. Since you transferred unexpectedly, your hero costume hasn't been prepared. Please submit a sketch to the UA website, and I'll give you your costume in a week, Aizawa informed. Understood, Hitoshi affirmed and walked to his next class. Phew, I'm not in trouble after all. Take that, Killua. Hitoshi thought. Time skipped to lunch. Hitoshi ran to the lunch line, making it just before the lunch rush started. Then lunch rush served him tonkatsu udon, a salad side dish, agadashi tofu, and mackerel. He headed to a table. Killua was already sitting there with a bento box and pudding. The bento box comprised tuna sushi, salad, carriage over rice, and miso soup. The tuna sushi gleamed like rubies. Hitoshi inhaled the delectable smell and sighed in bliss. He opened the chopsticks and shoveled agadashi tofu into his mouth. The golden tofu was cooked to perfection, and Hitoshi was in culinary heaven. He ate the rest of his lunch the same way and was soon finished. In contrast, Killua slowly consumed his lunch, nibbling his tuna sushi. Eventually, he polished it all off, only his pudding remaining. Killua pried the lid open and swallowed the pudding whole. So what did Aizawa-sensei talk to you about? Or should I call him Hobo-sensei? Did you get detention? Killua said. My hero costume. Just don't. No. All in that order, Hitoshi replied. Cool. So, do you have any ideas? Killua said. Well, I drew some sketches in class, Hitoshi said, showing drawings in his notebook. The first drawing showed a man with a black top hat in a black suit, cape, boots, and monocle. The second sketch was of a man in a domino mask, purple sleeveless shirt, black pants, and gloves. The third picture was of a man with a white face mask covering his face, white boots, and a jumpsuit. These all have good elements. Why don't you combine them? Killua suggested. Sure. Hitoshi agreed and drew a new sketch. It showed a man in a white face mask in black clothing with purple accents. It looks amazing, Hitoshi, Killua said. Thanks. It's nothing, really, Hitoshi said bashfully. It's not nothing, Hitoshi. It's your art, Killua disagreed. I guess, Hitoshi conceded, unsure. With that, they parted, leaving for their classes. Time skipped to the end of the school. Hitoshi and Killua walked to Killua's apartment. Then he showed his room to Hitoshi. Welcome to my humble abode, Killua gestured to his room. Hitoshi looked shocked by how Spartan it was. There was a desk with chocolate bars, textbooks, a closet, and a futon. It's empty. Hitoshi cringed at his own words. I make do. So now, why don't we modify your uniform? Killua said. You can change in the bathroom. I'll give you some of my clothes. Okay, Hitoshi said. Killua rummaged around his closet, picked out a violet shirt and black shorts, and handed them to Hitoshi. Hitoshi quickly changed. So, what kind of modifications would you like? Killua said. I could cut your sleeves. Throw your tie away. Ruffle your dress shirt. Spray and paint your clothes. Etc., Killua said. Actually, I was thinking of something else, Hitoshi said, filling him in on his plan. So, a mini trench coat, Just like your costume. I think someone's got a thing for trench coats, Killua said. Could you just do your thing? Hitoshi requested, irritated. Fine. It looks like someone woke up on the wrong side of the bed today, Killua said but complied. Killua grabbed leftover fabric from his uniforms. Then he sewed some of the cloth onto Hitoshi's uniform. Killua sprayed a layer of paint onto the stitches to cover them up. There. Done. Killua presented his creation to Hitoshi. Wow. Hitoshi stared at the altered uniform in gratefulness. I'll take that as, Killua, I have no words for your greatness, and you're a wonderful friend. Killua interpreted. Yeah, sure, let's go with that. Hitoshi chuckled. But thanks, really. You're welcome, Killua said and handed him the uniform. Oh, and change into this before you leave unless you want to keep my clothes for a while. Hitoshi took the uniform and changed into it. Well, see you next week, Hitoshi said. That's when your training will resume, Killua stated. Don't remind me, Hitoshi groaned. Now, a lazy pupil is a bad pupil, you know. Killua flicked Hitoshi's nose. Okay, I got it, Hitoshi said. Then he headed back home. A week later. Killua and Hitoshi were walking to school when multiple people approached them. You're Shinso, right? A stranger asked. Yeah, Hitoshi confirmed. I think you made it in the top 4. The stranger continued. Can I have your autograph? Quote. Sorry, gotta go, or else I'll be late to school. Hitoshi said. More and more strangers pestered them. Until Killua finally got fed up. Move along, people. Move along. Killua said, shoving ahead of the crowd while holding Hitoshi's hand. They didn't get the message and tried to talk to them. I said move along. Killua reiterated more loudly. The crowd finally parted, and the boys ran toward Ua. They reached the classroom in the nick of time. Good morning. Today, we have Hero Informatics class. You'll be choosing your hero names, Aizawa announced. The class cheered rambunctiously. But now, we'll discuss the pro hero draft picks I mentioned the other day. It's based on the students the pros believe will be ready to be heroes after a few years. It's a way for them to display interest in your future. But their interest can fade before you all graduate. So be sure to keep their interest if you have it or procure it. Here are the pro hero draft picks. It seems our top 4 stole the spotlight. Aizawa displayed it on the blackboard. Todoroki was in the lead with 5,133 drafts. Hitoshi was second with 4,563 drafts. Killua was in third with 3,272 drafts. Bakugo was fourth with 2,485 drafts. Kirishima was in fifth with 506 drafts, and so on. The top 4 have switched, Kirishima commented. Probably because they were scared of the guy who banged another guy's head against the ground until his head bled. Zero surmised. What kind of heroes are they getting intimidated? Exclamation mark. Bakugo yelled angrily. I think it's because of how you're acting now, Hitoshi said dryly. Shut up, extra. No one asked for your opinion. Bakugo fired back. Even if you aren't picked, all of you will get to work with pros. Though you have more experience than most students, watching the pros and aiding will be valuable to your training. That's where your hero names will play. They may be temporary, but you should still choose something suitable, Aizawa said. Midnight walked in. Or else, you'll regret it horribly. The name you choose now may be what the world calls you for your entire career. It's happened more than once, Midnight warned. She wore a white dress shirt and navy blue slacks. You were right about Midnight dressing modestly, Hitoshi noted. I read she got sued for wearing her pro-hero outfit around students. Because it's too proactive, Killua whispered. What future do you see for yourself? Choose a name that reflects who you are and aspire to be, Aizawa said. 20 minutes later. After most of the class picked their names, it was Bakugo's turn. He displayed his hero name on his whiteboard. King Explosion Murder. Peeved. That sounds like something a middle schooler would come up with. Hitoshi didn't even try to stifle his laughter. Killua snickered alongside him. Bakugo fumed when Midnight rejected the name. Ochako held up her whiteboard, showing her hero name. Uravati. I love the pun. Midnight approved. Now all that's left is Shinso, Zoldyck, and Bakugo's edit. Hitoshi showed his hero name on his whiteboard. Mastermind. Because of my quirk, Hitoshi said. A play on words. I like it. Midnight gave a thumbs up. Killua displayed his hero on his whiteboard. Arjuna. I have electricity powers and a keen mind like the demigod, Arjuna, Killua explained. That fits. Midnight gave her approval. Then she arrived at Bakugo again. His new hero name was Lord Explosion Murder, and he was vetoed again. At the end of class, Aizawa called Killua over. Zoldyck, the principal wants to see you, Aizawa said. This kid is being sent to Nezu again. This means Nezu has taken an interest in him or is suspicious. I'm not sure which is worse. Aizawa thought. Okay, Killua acknowledged. Then he walked to Nezu's office. I wonder what Nezu has in store for me now. I'll check in on his progress. Killua pondered. He arrived and knocked. Inside was Nezu and a plain-looking man in a tan trench coat. Hello, Killua, take a seat, Nezu said. Would you care for a cup of tea? Quote. No thanks, I'm not feeling thirsty, Killua declined. You may be wondering why I called you here, Nezu said. Killua shrugged in response. I called you here so Detective Tsukachi could confirm your story, Nezu said. His quirk lets him discern whether you are telling the truth. I refuse. I won't let a stranger know the truth about my secret, Killua said. Well, if your story is true, why are you so reluctant to tell him the truth? Nezu probed. Because he's a stranger, and I barely know anything about him, much less trust him. You might trust him, but I do not, Killua answered. Well, Killua, there isn't much I can do for you if you don't. Besides, to help you, I need your cooperation, Nezu said. Fine. I'll talk to Tsukachi only because we're a team. But if you tell anyone else, Killua said ominously. Here's the story. I'm from another world and need Nezu to get me back there. Tsukachi used his quirk to confirm Killua's statement, which rang true. He gave Nezu a thumbs up. Leave, Killua ordered Tsukachi, and he obeyed when Nezu nodded. How have things been going? Have you made any progress, Principal? Killua asked. I assure you, my team and I are trying our best. We haven't come up with anything yet, but we will in time, Nezu said. I need more than your assurances. I need results. And time is running out. So you'd best find a solution before it does, Killua said and exited the room, leaving Nezu alone with his thoughts. That boy is dangerous and volatile. I can't control him and fear it won't be long until his patience wears thin. I have to find a solution or a way of subduing him. Nezu thought desperately. Killua walked to his apartment. After he arrived, he looked at the list of pro-heroes that picked him to be their intern. One name caught his eye. "I think I know who I'll be interning with now." Killua smirked. Meanwhile, Aizawa asked for Hitoshi to come over. "Shinso, your hero costume has been completed. I will now take you to it," Aizawa stated. Aizawa and Hitoshi went to the hero costume locker room. Aizawa opened a locker and handed Hitoshi his costume. It was a black trench coat with purple accents, a gray shirt and pants, a white belt, white boots, white gloves, a white face mask, a hologram projector disguised as an armband, and a voice modifier. The outfit was sleek and stylish, everything Hitoshi had wished for and more. "Well, you've looked at it. Now I need to put it away." Aizawa opened his palm for the costume. With one last look, Hitoshi handed it back. Then he went home. Omake 3. Friendships and rivalries. Bakugo. The midget. I hate that guy. I know he's always looking down on me. I proved I was better than him in our match. Quote 2. Deku. I hate that damn nerd. I know he's beneath me, and he knows it too. He won't stay in the dirt where he belongs. If he gets in my way, he's dead. 3. Half and half. He really pisses me off. He acts like he's so great just because he's pretty strong. If we fight, I will beat him into the ground. 4. The purple-haired scrub. He's got some guts, talking down to me. I sure showed him. If we fight again, I'll mop the floor with him. Killua. Daddy issues. He's really annoying. He wanted to be a pro-hero so he could spite his father. Maybe I can't talk because I don't want to be a pro-hero for altruistic reasons, but at least I have a good reason. 2. Baku brat. He's too fun to wind up. I can't resist toying with him. 3. Hitoshi. At first, I only approached him because he looked fun to tease, but now he's someone I call a friend. I want to keep training him and watch him struggle and grow. Sheesh, I must be getting soft. 4. Izuku. I like him. I don't want him to die, but I will use him if necessary. He might be a threat when he's older, but I don't plan on staying here long enough for that. Deku. Kachan. Kachan is one of my biggest idols. I want to prove I'm on his level. I got eliminated in the tournament's first round, so I don't think he'll take me seriously as a rival now. I'll just have to try harder to earn his respect. Quote 2. Todoroki. I got really fired up when Todoroki issued his challenge to me, but I'm disappointed I couldn't meet his expectations. I'll have to do better next time and show him I'm worthy of his challenge. Quote 3. Shinso. He's a formidable opponent. Smart and strong. I wish I could have given a better fight. 4. Killua-san. He's a good guy to have in a pinch like I learned in the USJ. He's powerful, almost as good as Kachan is. And unlike Kachan, he's pretty laid back. Maybe we can be friends. I'd like to be his rival, too. A friendly rivalry, though, not like my rivalry with Kachan. Hitoshi. Bakugo. He's really stuck up. I want to knock him off his high horse. I thought he was just a big talker, but there's a brain behind all that ego. I underestimated him when we fought. I won't make that mistake a second time. 2. Killua. He's a good friend and teacher. I couldn't have gotten as far as I have without him. He's pretty mysterious, though. I'd like to know more about his past. 3. Todoroki. He's in the top 3 of the hero course, and he's Endeavor's son, so he's bound to be powerful. He'd be tough to beat in a fight. I won't win against him at my level now. I'll just surpass him. 4. Midoriya. He didn't make much of an impression. The end. Chapter 14. Chapter 13. Investigation and Disguise. Hitoshi and Izuku waited for the train. The pair stood in an awkward silence until the train arrived. Then they got onto the train. Hitoshi and Izuku sat next to each other. "Hey, who are you interning with?" "I'm interning with Gran Torino," Izuku asked. "I'm interning with Aizawa-sensei," Hitoshi answered. "Cool. So you'll be learning some underground hero work, huh?" Izuku said. "Yeah," Hitoshi said. "So, have you seen Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse?" Izuku asked. "Yeah, it was great," Hitoshi said. "It's a shame Spider-Noir, Spider-Ham, and Panai didn't get many lines. I was disappointed about that, too. I really liked Panai. Hopefully, she'll be more fleshed out in the next movie," Izuku said. "Though, it was cool to see more spider people. Hobie was just well cool," Hitoshi said. "And his powers were exciting, too. I wonder how durable his guitar is. It was strong enough to break that barrier." Izuku pondered and started mumbling. Hello? Earth to Midoriya?" Hitoshi snapped his fingers. "Oh, sorry." Izuku apologized. "It's fine. Who's your favorite Spider-Verse character?" "Mine is definitely Noir," Hitoshi said. "He's a cool anti-hero who is the most empathetic of the Spider Gang and has some of the best lines in the first movie. I like Peter B. best. It was inspiring how he was initially sad and broken, but by the end, he started rebuilding his life and fought like a true hero. Because Spider-Man always gets back up no matter how many hits he takes," Izuku said. "I agree," Hitoshi said. Then he looked at the train's next destination. "Kofu City is the next stop," Hitoshi stated. "Before we go to our internships, want to exchange phone numbers?" Izuku asked. "Sure," Hitoshi agreed, and they gave each other their phone numbers. Hitoshi checked his phone. Aizawa-sensei said he would be coming in 5 minutes and to wait at the bus stop. After 5 minutes, Aizawa arrived, armed with a large suitcase. "I'll take you to my apartment," Aizawa said. Hitoshi nodded in response, and they walked. Aizawa checked in with the landlady and led Hitoshi to his room. Right when Hitoshi entered the room, he cringed. The walls were a disgusting shade of sewage green, and paint flakes scattered on the ground. The paint was peeling off the walls. The floorboards were a coffee brown with many stains and creaked whenever Hitoshi stepped on them. The bed was a small, flimsy thing made of old, rusted metal. There was a gray closet in the corner, covered in cobwebs. Altogether, the room was a dusty, musty, putrid dump. Aizawa must have sensed Hitoshi's disgust as he said, "I know this place isn't the most glamorous or comfortable, but while you're interning with me, it will be your home. Let this be a lesson. When you're a pro hero, you can't always afford to live in relaxing places. This especially applies to underground heroes." Then he started unpacking his suitcase. Hitoshi unpacked his suitcase as well. When they finished unpacking, Aizawa pulled a makeup kit and face masks from the closet. "What are those for?" Hitoshi asked. "Disguise. A crucial part of being an underground hero is going on undercover missions. Infiltrating gangs, villain groups, etc. are all a part of that. Today, I'll teach you the basics of disguising yourself," Aizawa said. "When disguising yourself, you don't need to alter your look too much. Using contacts to hide your real eye color and dyeing hair can be enough if you can sell the act." Aizawa took out hair dye from the makeup kit and contacts. There were hair dye bottles and contacts in many arrays of colors. "I'm going to teach you how to put on contacts now. First, wash your hands. Then, select a case. Do this at a sink and cover the drain. Put a few drops of contact solution onto the contacts. Afterward, insert the contact into your eye. And then do the same with the other contact," Aizawa instructed. Hitoshi did as Aizawa ordered, but he accidentally put the contact in the whites of his right eye. Hitoshi collapsed and screamed in pain. Aizawa understood the situation and took out a plunger. Hitoshi closed his right eye and clutched his eye in pain. "Open your eye. It's all right. I'll remove the contact," Aizawa said gently. "And no, it hurts too much," Hitoshi refused. "It'll only take a second," Aizawa comforted, placing a hand on Hitoshi's shoulder. All right," Hitoshi obliged. Hitoshi cracked his eye open and used a plunger to remove the contact. Hitoshi wiped his right eye on a towel. "I'll show you how to put on a contact," Aizawa said. He picked out an orange contact case. Then, he put several drops of contact solution onto the contact and placed it into his eye. "Do you want to try it again?" Aizawa asked several minutes later. "Sure. I'd rather not put in my right contact," Hitoshi said. "That's all right," Aizawa said. Hitoshi put the contact solution into the left contact and placed it into his eye. Meanwhile, Killua walked to the office of the pro hero he was interning with. He knocked on the door. Nezu opened the door and let him in. "I assume you've decided to intern with me to find a way back?" Nezu presumed. "Yes," Killua said. "Take a seat," Nezu invited. Killua took a seat on the mahogany chair. "First, why don't you tell me how you were sent here?" Nezu suggested. "A strange man tapped my shoulder, and then a portal sent me here. He had brown hair and gold eyes. He looked Japanese," Killua said. "I see. I'll search for this man," Nezu said. After many fruitless minutes of searching, Nezu found another man matching Killua's description. "That's the guy who sent me here," Killua said. "His name is Hotaru Fujisaki. His quirk lets him teleport to places he's been before by snapping his fingers. At least, that's what is stated in the quirk registry. But from what you've said, he has a secondary quirk that allows him to send others into different worlds," Nezu said. "Well, where is he?" Killua asked. "I don't know. Fujisaki is missing, but it's unconfirmed if he's dead. But perhaps we can check if his family has a similar quirk," Nezu proposed. "I'm game," Killua agreed. "Fujisaki's family lives in Osaka. We'll take my private jet there," Nezu said. "Wait, first, I'm going to need a disguise. The Fujisakis could leak my appearance," Killua said. Very well. Nezu obliged and handed him a change of clothes and a wig. Killua got dressed in the bathroom. He now sported mint green hair and wore a red shirt, navy blue pants, and indigo sneakers. Nezu led Killua to his jet. The jet was a blinding white with streaks of red and teal. Nezu and Killua climbed into the plane. Nezu flew the jet while Killua amused himself by playing a computer game. A couple hours later, Nezu landed the plane. Then, they arrived in Osaka and walked to the Fujisaki home. Nezu knocked on the door, and a woman opened it. The woman was in her 50s. She had auburn hair and pale pink eyes. She also wore a modest red dress. My name is Nagisa Fujisaki. Welcome to my humble abode, Mr. Nezu and companion? Nagisa bowed. Thank you, Fujisaki-san. Nezu bowed in return. Killua bowed alongside him. No need to be so formal. You can just call me Nagisa. Nagisa invited. Now, why don't you come in? Nezu and Killua entered her house. Nagisa fetched tea and some cups from the kitchen while Killua and Nezu sat on a comfy and well-worn couch. Tea? Nagisa asked. Nagisa set tea and 2 cups on a dark brown table near the couch. Yes, please. Nezu smiled pleasantly. No thanks, Killua declined. Nagisa poured tea into 2 cups and handed one to Nezu. Nezu sipped the tea and found himself liking the taste. Is this jasmine tea? It's very well made, Nezu complimented. Oh, you flatter me. Nagisa laughed, but then her expression grew serious. As much as I'd like to talk about tea, I doubt you have the time. I know you didn't come here for a social visit, Nezu. In turn, Nezu's face turned grave. You're correct, Nagisa-san. I did not come here for a social visit. I came here to discuss your son, Nezu said. Nagisa's demeanor changed to worried and guarded. What about Hotaru? She said, her tone neutral. We suspect your son has the quirk to send people to other dimensions, Nezu revealed. Does anyone else in his family possess a similar quirk? Please tell if someone does. If you don't, a lost, innocent child could be stranded from his home forever. I see. You know about Hotaru's quirk. Then there's no sense in trying to hide it. I'm afraid no one in our family has a quirk like his. Sorry I couldn't have been of more help, Nagisa sighed in regret. They know about Hotaru's quirk. This is bad. I can't tell them any more than they already know. We tried so hard to keep it under wraps so the Hero Commission would never find out. They can never know that Hotaru sent this child here on purpose. Otherwise, I don't even want to think what they'd do to him or the rest of my family. Nagisa shuddered at the very thought of it. I see. Thank you for giving us your time, Nezu said. Killua nodded in gratitude. They showed themselves out. Nagisa sighed in relief after they left. I hope they never come back, Nagisa said to herself. Killua and Nezu walked back to the jet. Then they went to the plane. As he prepared to take off, Nezu asked, "What do you think of her?" Quote, Nagisa was being truthful but didn't tell us everything, Killua surmised. That's what I thought as well. Nagisa's quite skilled in concealing information for a civilian. Makes me curious what she's really hiding, Nezu pondered. Should we go back to interrogate her again? Quote, No, we got our answers. We don't need Nagisa anymore, Killua shook his head. Alright, Nezu said, and they took off. A few hours later, they arrived at UA. It's 6:15 p.m. You should go home, Nezu said. Okay, we'll look into this tomorrow, Killua agreed. Nezu nodded and headed to his office. Killua walked to his apartment. He started texting Hitoshi. Killua. Are you free? Hitoshi. Yeah, why? Killua. It's time for your training. Meet me at my apartment. Hitoshi. Okay. I'll be there in 30 minutes. I have to tell Aizawa-sensei I'm meeting up with a friend first, though. Killua. Ah, you said I'm your friend. I thought you said we weren't friends before. Hitoshi. First of all, I texted that you were a friend. Second, that was just an excuse, so Aizawa-sensei didn't know you were training me. This is a strictly professional relationship between a teacher and a student. Killua. Bah, technicalities. But I know that's just your way of saying we're friends. Hitoshi. We're not friends. You're just my teacher. Killua. Sure, Hitoshi. Killua. Hitoshi, you said this was a professional relationship. So you gotta call me Sifu Killua. Hitoshi. Fine, you're dead when I get to you, Sifu Killua. Better? Killua. Much better. With that, the conversation ended. 30 minutes later, Hitoshi came. He ruffled Killua's hair roughly. Hey there, demonic munchkin, Hitoshi said. At least I'm taller than you if anything else. HMMPH, it won't be like that for long. I'm going to get a growth spurt soon, Killua huffed. Bakugo's right about one thing. You really are a shorty, Hitoshi laughed. A shorty that can whoop your butt, Killua retorted. Now come on, it's training time. Killua marched to an empty grass field with a bucket of rocks. So what are we doing? Hitoshi asked. You are running, Killua answered with a mischievous glint in his eyes. Originally, I was going to save this for later since this is your first session. But I changed my mind. I will throw rocks at you if you don't run fast enough. Hitoshi sweated, regretting his shorty comment from earlier. Well, what are you waiting for? Killua demanded. Go. Hitoshi started running as soon as Killua gave the word. Hitoshi ran as swiftly as he could from fear of Killua throwing rocks at him. However, he was quickly exhausted. As he caught his breath, Killua caught up to him. Hitoshi shielded his arm, but no stones came. You're not hitting me for not running fast enough? Hitoshi said. No, there'd be no point. That wouldn't make you run faster. Since you expended all your running energy in the first few minutes of your training, Killua said and threw a rock at Hitoshi's forehead. Ow! What was that for? Hitoshi rubbed his forehead. I thought you said you wouldn't throw rocks at me? Quote. I said I wouldn't throw rocks at you for not running fast enough. Not that I wouldn't throw rocks at you for using up all of your energy in 10 minutes like an idiot, Killua said. Seriously, why'd you do that? Quote. So you wouldn't throw rocks at me and maintain a quick speed, Hitoshi said. Silly, every runner knows that you don't use your top speed during the beginning. It'll wear you out and suck out all of your energy. You save it up your top speed at the end. Now I've told you that. Tell me your plan for the next time you run, Killua said. I'll go at my medium speed in the beginning and middle, and at the end, I'll go at my top speed, Hitoshi said. Not bad. Pacing yourself is a good plan, but go faster bit by bit once you're in the middle, Killua advised. What now? Hitoshi asked. A 10-minute water break to regain your energy, Killua said. Hitoshi greedily guzzled down the water. A few minutes passed, and the water break ended. Now do 200 push-ups, Killua commanded. I thought you said I used up all my energy, Hitoshi said. You have enough energy now to do push-ups, Killua said. Seriously? Hitoshi complained. Make that 500 push-ups. Do it now. Unless you'd rather run instead, Killua said. Hitoshi started doing push-ups. 38 minutes later, he was done and sweating profusely. Average. We'll just have to improve your time, Killua mused. Average? Seriously? Hitoshi thought, hurt. Looks like you're all worn out. Why don't you go back to your flat now? Killua said. Okay, Hitoshi said and left. Killua returned to his apartment and changed into his disguise for the underground fighting ring. He wore an all-black ensemble except for his voice modification mask consisting of gloves, a jacket, long-sleeved pants, and boots. Then he put on amber contacts and mussed his hair. Killua strolled to Jiren's hideout and opened the door. Jiren's hideaway was high-end in a sleazy sort of way. There was a black couch with embroidered purple pillows, several elegant chairs, and a mini-fridge. Hey, wild card, I called you to talk about your opponent in this match, Jiren explained. Come, take a seat. Killua obliged and sat on one of the chairs. Jiren showed Killua a picture of a 17-year-old girl with blonde hair in twin buns and a high school uniform. She looked like the typical schoolgirl except for her slasher smile and knives. She's Himiko Toga. She can transform into the people whose blood she drinks, but she can't use their quirks. Once, she was an ordinary schoolgirl, but suddenly, she attacked a classmate and drank his blood, marking the start of her villainy. From then on, she was responsible for multiple murders. Toga is insane and extremely skilled with her knives. I'd suggest being cautious with her since I know you're especially protective of your identity. That'll be $25. Jiren held his hand out, and Killua gave him the bills. $25? Pretty cheap for you, Jiren, Killua said. What can I say? I like you enough to give you a discount, Jiren shrugged. More like he was too scared to get on the wrong side of him, but there wasn't much of a difference when it came to Jiren. For a sleazy slimeball whose job was making money off others' suffering, he wasn't too bad. The match will be soon. So get out there, Jiren said. Sure, Killua said and went to the stadium. He was met with Himiko Toga, who stood on the opposing side. What's your name? I'm Himiko Toga, Himiko chirped. You look like you'd be fun to carve up. I can tell you're a cute one. I'd love to have your blood. Could you give it to me? Quote. You can call me Wildcard. And that's a no on the blood thing, Killua answered. Your knives look pretty decent. Her knives are definitely high quality. Wonder where I can get them from. Killua thought. Ah, Himiko pouted. I got my knives made specially. They're one of a kind. You said you wanted my blood, right? Killua checked. Yeah. I'd love it. Himiko cheered. How about this? I'll give you my blood if you can beat me. If I win the match, you'll give me your knives, Killua proposed. Sure. Himiko agreed. The announcer declared the start of the match. Himiko dove for him with her knives out. Killua dodged and did a somersault in the air. Himiko ran for him, trying to stab him. Killua ducked and kneed her in the gut. She kicked him, and Killua skidded back. Then she flung a knife at him. Killua caught it, and they fought knife to knife. Killua stabbed Himiko lightly in the thigh. Wow, you're not afraid to get dangerous. Now I like you even more. Himiko said. Now let me stab you. Quote. I don't think so, Killua said. Himiko reached out her knife to pierce Killua, but he applied pressure to her arm, making her drop the knife. He picked up the knife and attempted to stab her in the arm, but she dodged at the last second. Then Killua entrapped Himiko with both arms, and to his surprise, she did not resist. Instead, she strained to bite his right arm, but he released that arm and forced her head down to the hard concrete. Killua wrestled Himiko down to prevent her from attacking further. Toga is down. Time for a 10 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wild card wins. The announcer said. Killua released Himiko. Himiko immediately tried to bite him, but Killua dodged her. Please give me your blood. Himiko asked. A deal's a deal. I won the fight. You're not getting any of my blood, Killua stated. Himiko sulked but ceased trying to obtain his blood for the moment. What a psycho. I didn't think this place would have people like her. I'll just have to keep an eye out for more crazy people. I hope she doesn't try to stab me later. It would be a pain. Killua thought while walking to Jiren's hideout. He double-checked Himiko wasn't following him along the way. Killua opened the door and took a seat on a chair. Jiren awaited him on his couch. Fork over the money, Killua commanded. We made a lot of money today. Few people thought you could beat the vampire freak, Himiko Toga. Jiren said with mountains of bills in his lap. Then, he parted with half of the savings and delivered them to Killua. Killua left and went back to his apartment. I don't know whether I should feel insulted or glad that people in the betting stands thought I would lose to the vampire girl. On the one hand, they thought I would lose to that psycho and get stabbed to her heart's content until I died. On the other hand, I did make a lot of money off them. It's probably best not to think about it. Killua decided. Killua ate a bento from the fridge and got ready for bed. Eventually, he lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow, I'll work with Nezu, but will we really be able to find a solution or the beginning of one? I'm not sure. The Fujisaki thing was my best bet. It's been a month since I told Nezu about my world, but he didn't make any progress. Even with his resources, he wasn't able to find much. Does that mean I'll be stuck here forever? I guess it wouldn't be all bad with Hitoshi, but who would take care of Iluka? Gon's too weak right now, and my family could capture her. No, I can't think like this. I have to believe that I will return no matter how long it takes. Otherwise, I don't know if I can restrain myself anymore. Killua thought, worried.
Unfortunately, this part is over. I hope you enjoyed it. My apologies for all those quotes. Please have a good morning, afternoon, evening, or night. See you next time, my dear faves.